and good evening, everyone. Welcome to our podcast.
I'm Izzah, your moderator for today's episode of Greetings from the Silk Road. In this session, we'll be exploring something truly fascinating, the differences and unique traits between Malay and Uzbekistan's culture, from traditional clothing and food to communication styles and social values. We'll discover how these two rich cultures express their identity in real life. Culture shapes how we think, how we speak, and how we connect with others. And by understanding these differences, we can learn to appreciate the diversity and build a stronger cross-cultural connection.
Therefore, I am here along with my partner, our interviewer Solihah, our discussion panelist Atikah, and our awesome guest, all the way from Uzbekistan, Shuhratbek Muhammadov.
Before we start, let's do a quick warm-up session, shall we? Okay, Shuhar, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of Uzbekistan's culture, and do you mind introducing yourself a bit?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shuhratbek and I'm from Uzbekistan, currently studying at the University of Malaysia Terengganu in the Applied Mathematics degree. So the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of my homeland Uzbekistan is our national food, palov. Palov is a meal that we cook usually with rice, beef and carrot, and it's been carried from generation to generation for about the centuries, and it definitely going to show a rich culture of Uzbekistan. Wherever you go in the New York or in London, you're going to see some food trucks of Uzbek people that are selling palov.
Thank you, Shuhar. That's such a great insight. What about you, Atikah? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when we're talking about Malay culture?
Thank you for having me today. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think about our culture is obviously Hari Raya celebration, when all of us, our relatives, gather at one place, at our grandparents' house, eating traditional foods that you sometimes only can find on Hari Raya only. And then visiting our beloved ones, and obviously perform Hari Raya prayers together at the mosque with the whole family. So that's it.
Thank you, Atikah. Those are such nice insights.
Well, I guess everyone here is more than ready to dive deeper into our main discussion. So without further ado, I'll pass the mic to Solihah to lead us into the Q&A session. Thank you so much, Izzah.
Let's start with something that many people experience, which is misconceptions. So, Shuhrat, are there any misconceptions that foreigners often have, or maybe people from Uzbekistan itself that have misconceptions toward your culture, your ethnicity?
Well, personally for me, it's kind of confusing when it comes to Malay people to guess my cultural background. I heard some of them saying I look like someone between Chinese and Malay mix, and some people say I look like European, but actually we are in the between Asian and European, so which is called Caucasian. If you know, there's a Caucasian mountain, so our ancestors come from Caucasian mountains, so we kind of look between Asia and Europe. And when it comes to generally internationals, I think most of them have no any problems, except Indonesians and people from Philippines or Vietnam. I've seen in the UMT they're having issues when they go to the store or when they interact with the local people. They sometimes get like, they think they are Malaysian because you guys are from the Southeast Asia, so you guys definitely look alike. So I think, yeah, that's...
Okay, that's so interesting. People really do mix up geography sometimes. Yeah. Okay, what about you, Atikah? Any misconceptions that maybe foreigners or even Malaysians have about Malay ethnicity?
I do research people. We have quite a misconception that foreigners, even Malaysians sometimes, have about us, Malay ethnicity. And some people assume that we Malays are all the same as Indonesia and any other Malay speakers, like Singaporean and Brunei people. But we are not technically the same. The difference that in our regional differences, like our culture, our dialect, our traditions, we might sound the same, but we are not. We are totally different.
Yeah, true that. People often mistake Malaysians as being Malaysian, especially in social media.
Yeah, that's that.
Okay, moving on. Culture shock time. So, to be honest, do you experience culture shock here in Malaysia? How does your culture differ from cultures you've encountered abroad, especially here in Malaysia?
Well, first of all, I haven't been in many countries yet, so the Malaysia is probably like the biggest culture shock for me. Moving from Uzbekistan is like, if you guys can imagine, it's quite far.
Yeah.
So I've been to the neighbor countries, which are not really that different from my own country. So the language that we speak, the culture, the way that we dress. But when I came to Malaysia, the first thing that impressed me is how kind and respectful people to each other. Because I mean, it's not like a surprise to you if you go to somewhere to Central Asia. You're definitely gonna meet some really respectful and hospitable people, but you at the same time gonna meet some people who are quite aggressive when it comes to the roads, and when it comes to the driving. I thought Malaysian people are really safe drivers, you know, because they drive slow, and especially inside the city. And yeah.
Okay. So so when you first come here, it's more like how when this happening instead of wow, this is cool, right? Or is it
No,
the other way
it's all about like, I thought there were gonna be a lot of motorcycles. I definitely like did my research before coming. I thought it was gonna be a little messy and kind of motorcycles everywhere and cars. But when I saw the traffic, it was quite good actually. But we don't have like a really big traffic jams in my country. But it's definitely better than I expected. Even the people's, especially Terengganu. You know, I've lived most of my time in Malaysia in Terengganu, and I've really surprised by how people here are so happy, so friendly, and community is so close to each other.
Yeah, Terengganu is considered as the happiest state.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
So, Atikah, from your side, what cultural differences did you notice when you're interacting with international students, especially like Shuhrat?
To be honest, it's actually my very first time interacting and meeting with international students. So I might not know a lot of things, but I did a quick research about Uzbekistan culture and Malay culture, the differences. But I found that the difference between our communication style. In Malay culture, we communicate very politely, very indirect, and then we tend to avoid any confrontation and making harmony slow so that showing our respect with small gestures. But for Uzbekistan culture, might be wrong because this is my basic own research. Uzbekistan culture communication style is more like direct.
Very direct. It's true.
Expressive. So especially when they thank their guests, that they use their nice words and welcoming their guests. So that's what the cultural differences.
Yeah, because when you go to Uzbekistan first, when you talk to the people, they kind of invite to their home, like you have known this person for about 20 years, you know, like just like your buddy. Yeah, come here, come to my home, let's eat something. And be like, oh, how is this so surprising? Like the stranger person is inviting to your home with so much hospitality, and it's quite direct. Like we don't really use any indirect ways to express our words. So yeah, it's true actually.
Okay, same here actually, because this is my first time interacting with an international student. So.
Yeah, it's the first time too.
It's like I'm glad to be the first one. It's like big honor.
Yes. Okay, now let's talk about family traditions. So, can you describe any family traditions that you practice back in Uzbekistan?
I've seen like very similar practice here in Malaysia also between the families. But what I really most surprised about was culture when it comes to the marriage. And most of them said like your family, your parents, basically they play a role in your marriage. But in my country, it's like a very huge role of your parents. Where it's like arranged marriages. So like you get to marry to the stranger, almost stranger, but you guys got to meet some couple of times before the marriage. And it's all about between the parents, you know, it's all about the connections that they're making with the parents on that side and on this side. So yeah, it's like a strategic way then, rather than something really personal that you got to choose as an individual. So like, but definitely my parents are not against if I'm going to choose who I'm going to marry, but it's more like strategic way. They're going to explain it to me. So and when it comes to Malaysia, I'm more surprised about how people get married a little late, after their 30s. So I'll be like, the average age in Uzbekistan for marriage is about 25. So after you do like your masters or you find a job, but your marriage is mostly done or financialized by your parents. So you don't really have to worry about it.
That is so interesting because this is my first time hearing about arranged marriage. So do you tend to marry among Uzbekistan or among the Central Asian countries?
Most commonly is among Uzbekistan, even among my own state, because we avoid longer distances when it comes to marriages, because if you're going to carry your partner to their hometown, it's going to take a longer time. So you got to keep every aspect of it. And if like an individual has a crush on someone from abroad, like from Central Asia, then definitely you're going to deal with it. So yeah.
It's quite far.
It's quite far.
Very far.
So, how about Malay family traditions, Atikah?
One of the family tradition that I always cherish is during the last week of Ramadan, when my whole family, including my relative, will gather together and having a big iftar meal. So after we break our fast, perform prayers together, the kids, including me, we light up some fireworks, play together and like enjoy the night. So these like enjoyable moments brings the family together, and sometimes reminds me of how Malay culture really take importance of family bond with each other.
From what you described, I can already see the kids running around and the others talking at the home.
So, now moving on to values. In Uzbekistan, how does your culture view work, education, and success?
Well, education is highly regarded in my country, and is really encouraged by the parents when it comes to the children. They usually give their children to the extra clubs, or like, as you guys call it, like extra courses. Even if you go to the school, except your courses in your school, you go to somewhere else to study like special subjects, just like biology, chemistry, or if you want to learn language, it's English, because like the public school courses might not be enough. And success is mostly based on like the connections that you make along the way. For example, if you're someone who has a lot of connections, who knows a lot of people, because of course it's not like a corrupted system of the between the people. It's more like working, and it's more like cooperation between the people, and so that it's easier for you to find a job, easier for you to deal with the things, like if you have a business, any kind of private business, so you can support it and promote it. And also work culture is also, how can I say, it's 6 day a week work culture actually, but the last day of the week is kind of light work. But we don't have like a school days or studying education days on the Sundays. By the way, the weekend in Uzbekistan is Saturday and Sunday, except in Terengganu I saw it's Friday and Saturday. So
it must be quite hard for you to adapt to that.
not really, it's just like you can imagine it as it's Sunday already, or it's Saturday already, so just kind of a one day change. It's not much.
So, how about Malay? In Malay culture, how do we typically view success from your perspective?
We have the same value for education. It's highly valued among families because, from my perspective, success, work, and education is closely linked to family and community values, because it's measured by your ability to uplift your family, to support your family. So that's why parents encourage their children to study hard and pursue the higher education to bring pride to family, to bring stability to their family. So that's what I think from my own perspective.
Okay, so maybe I think we share the same value regarding on the education perspective.
Now we have come to the interesting part, or something that I would say more mysterious, which is superstitions. So, are there any common superstitions or folk beliefs in Uzbekistan that people, or maybe yourself, still follow until today?
I think, yeah, I thought about it. Actually, in my state, in the Andijan, it's not real. We don't have any kind of folk beliefs that we usually follow as a community. But because our state is mostly known, it's just like in Terengganu, it's more to be religious and respectful people, definitely. But if you go somewhere around other states, you might find some people who we used to have a Jew people also before the Soviet Union kind of gave us the independence, Jewish people. And there was also like rituals that they used to do there that I heard. Like, I don't really know personally how the Jewish people actually do their practice. But commonly, for example, whistling in the night is something that's considered not good or not appropriate whistling. Yeah, because when I asked why does that happen, they say like before we don't have any like robbers currently in Uzbekistan, but before and around 90s, between the independence and Soviet Union, there used to be robbers who used to whistle to each other to kind of give an information. So like a communication way. Yeah. So if you kind of, so they say like as a folk, if you whistle, you attract robbers. So I've never, but by the way, I've never seen any robbery case in Uzbekistan so far. So it's just like a folk belief.
Yeah, folk.
Okay, Atikah. I know Malays have a lot of this. Can I share a few?
The one that I've heard along my childhood is that if you sing in the kitchen while you're cooking, then you'll get married to an older man. Or the other one that if the children didn't get home by Maghrib time, and they'll get kidnapped by ghosts. So that's what I've heard during my
That's like a common lie that's used by parents to call their children.
But we didn't really believe this, singing in the kitchen. But then sometimes we tend to restrict ourselves. Oh no, I don't want to get married.
I don't want to get married to a
But then we sing
Moving on. Every culture has unspoken rules. So in your culture, what behaviors are considered disrespectful or inappropriate?
Well, common misbehavior by the foreigners that come to my country is definitely wearing shorts in the public, or you might also have this kind of culture in Malaysia. It's considered as rude or disrespectful towards the local people. So we try to encourage them to wear longer pants or longer skirts in the public because it's values, it's a tradition. Even though in Uzbekistan we are considered like a Muslim country, but not everyone in Uzbekistan is definitely practicing Muslim. But still, it's in between, really deep in between the culture itself. Even though if you're a non-Muslim who lives in Uzbekistan, like a Russian person is a Christian, you don't wear something like shorts in the public because it's considered disrespect.
Okay. So, what about Malays? What are the big no-nos?
That I can think of is you don't show your sole of your feet to people. Don't show it yet. Because it's considered very disrespectful and rude, especially when you point it to a religious object like Quran, prayer mat. We don't practice it here because it's considered very disrespectful.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have talked about values and norms. Now let's look at something that we can actually see, we can touch, which is symbols. Okay.
So yes, Shuhrat, are there popular cultural symbols from Uzbekistan? Can be places, food, or that you mentioned just now, palov or palov. Okay, and clothing that really represent your culture or your identity.
Yeah, definitely. Especially in my city, in hometown Andijan, we have something like a cap, that we wear on top of our head that definitely shows like our identity. For example, even if you go somewhere within Uzbekistan, people are going to tell you, oh, you're from Andijan, you're from this state, because we have different types of caps, the decoration, the style, the colors. So, not really. But it's kind of, it's the same role when people wear it, and you can like tell them where they actually come from. But unfortunately, in the modern days, it's not really common for young people to wear them, even in the public. But we have one day in Uzbekistan. It's like a new law by the government. On Friday is called like a national day where people mostly dress nationally. Even when they traditionally, even when they go to the school, even my siblings when they go to the school, they wear this kind of caps and some kind of clothing, like traditional way. So that they don't really forget about their culture, their identity.
So how about Eid al-Fitr? Do you wear this type of clothing or?
Yeah, Eid al-Fitr, we don't really have like the certain clothing, but we definitely gonna wear something that covers our whole body and it has to be new and clean. And we use a lot of like perfume and stuff like that, just like a lot of countries, Muslim countries. And the best part about Eid al-Fitr or Eid al-Adha is that after the prayer in the morning, you go to everyone goes to their parents' home. If, for example, if my parents, we are still young, we go to our grandparents' home, and my parents and with their siblings, all the cousins, we gather in one home and we cook something, and we spend a lot of time together with our grandparents.
Yeah, that's a core memory.
So core memory definitely.
For Malay culture?
Some popular symbols, as we know, for traditional clothing, we have baju Melayu and baju kurung. And like the one that we're wearing right now, this is called baju opat, baju kurung kedah. Yeah. This is one of our traditional clothes. And how about food? How can we forget about food? Food is the traditional food that often being often being served during celebration is rendang,
Rendang.
lemang, the one that you sometimes only can find on celebration occasion. And then we also have art forms like batik and tongket that represent our identity as Malay and difference between Indonesia and any other Malay speaking groups.
I guess looks like we have covered so many things today, from ethnicity, traditions, beliefs, and all the way to communication styles. So what I find beautiful is how Malay and Uzbek cultures may look very different on the outside. We got different clothes, different language, different food, but actually at the core we share similar values such as respect, hospitality, community. So I think that's it. Well said, everyone, and that officially brings us to the end of today's podcast of Greetings from the Silk Road.
Thank you so much to my team, Atikah, discussion panelist,
Thank you.
Solihah, our interviewer, and of course our special guest from Uzbekistan, Shuhratbek, for sharing such valuable insights. And to all our listeners and viewers, thank you for tuning in, and we hope you enjoyed learning the differences and surprising similarities between Malay and Uzbek cultures. So until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep exploring new cultures. This has been Greetings from the Silk Road. Bye!
Come inside of my heart if you're looking for answers. Look at the stars, go a little bit faster.
Greetings from the Silk Road. It's a wrap!